Hi, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. My partner, Kristen Oaks-White, is on assignment. We begin with some really good news. Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson is home and still recovering from his battle with COVID-19. We showed you in our last episode Anderson leaving Promise Hospital in Baton Rouge after 78 days of treatment and care fighting COVID-19. That was about 2 weeks ago, and now he is showing great progress on his journey to a full recovery. During his time in the hospital, friends and family stopped by every day and stopped what they were doing every day at 3:21 in the afternoon, chosen for Ronnie's March 21st birthday, and they would do this every day to pray for his full recovery. He says he would not be here today if it were not for the prayers of his family, friends, and of course, his Farm Bureau family.
We had Ron's hunting retriever group had a hunt test a couple of weeks ago, and at 3:21 you could hear watches going off, and they just stopped, and all of them prayed, and it was I didn't know it, but it's a great rewarding feeling that people were that concerned, and Carl, I just think that's a huge part of me being able to recover.
We ask that you continue to keep Mr. Anderson in your prayers as he regains his health. Ronnie Anderson will officially retire from his position as Louisiana Farm Bureau President in just a few days. Voting delegates from across the state select the person to lead the state's largest general farm organization on June 26th. Anderson has served as president for 31 years, but he's not going far. He'll remain on the board of directors for at least one more year as immediate past president. Speaking of recovering, all indications this year pointed to a good year for Louisiana's rice crop. However, a couple of weather events have rained on that parade, and worse. TWILA's Neil Melanson shows us how in just 20 minutes, some rice fields lost up to 2/3 of their yield potential.
Warm and rainy days made a great rice crop this spring. Dustin Harrell, an extension rice specialist with the LSU Ag Center, says after years of lower yields, growers have been looking forward to a crop like this one.
Probably one of the best seasons that we've had in a very long time. The month of March, we got off to an early planting, and conditions were dry in southwest Louisiana and warm. And the rice really shot out of the ground and went really well.
However, in late May, a hailstorm hit this area of southwest Louisiana, dropping up to half-dollar-sized hail on an emerging crop. The farm manager for this field says he remembers the day it happened vividly.
I've been doing this for all my life. This is the worst I've ever seen it. I've seen hurricane come through and not do the damage this has done.
Harrell says the hail may have crushed up to 2/3 of the yield potential in some areas.
You can see that the flag leaf is completely destroyed, and we have about half the panicle that's actually going to emerge. And a lot of that panicle that did emerge is actually going to be blanked by the end of the year because it's not going to pollinate normally. So I would expect that where we were at heading or had rice in the boot, we're going to see considerable yield damage in these fields. Yield potential would be somewhere between a high ratoon yield growth or about 1/3 of the field's true yield potential.
Blake Buller is a crop consultant who works with LSU on a regular basis and says many of his customers have been suffering for years under lower prices and mediocre yields. They didn't need this. This is another one of the fields that was caught in that hailstorm, and it just smashed all of this rice flat. It looked like this at the end of May. It was this tall, and all of it was completely pounded down into this stuff, dead plant material from all of that rice that unfortunately is having to be regrown now. These are some of the luckier fields, but hopefully it should recover to produce some of the yields that growers were expecting at the beginning of the growing season. Reporting from Fenton, Louisiana, I'm Neil Melanson.
Some good news is that we might see an early harvest for some rice in Louisiana as the spring weather allowed for a lot of growth in many areas. Rice harvest usually begins in mid-July. However, Mark Tall, a rice marketing specialist with the Louisiana Farm Bureau Marketing Association, says some farmers may begin harvesting 4th of July weekend. It's mid-June, which means all of Louisiana's crops are in the ground and farmers are hard at work keeping those fields in the best shape possible for a great harvest later this year. This week, Twila's Carl Wiggers traveled to Tensas Parish to see how the corn, soybeans, and cotton are looking in his home corner of the state.
I'm Marshall Hardwick. I farm with Hardwick Planting on Somerset Plantation in Tensas Parish, and we farm corn, cotton, and soybeans. We farm roughly 5,500 acres of soybeans, 1,700 acres of corn, and 800 acres of cotton. And cotton is traditionally king in Tensas Parish and on our plantation. The price is just at a point where we had to invest in planting some other commodities, but our infrastructure in terms of gins and warehouses, it is enticing to us to plant cotton. But fortunately this year we had to reduce our acres and plant more grains and soybeans and corn.
We're down about a little over 50%. So we had roughly 2,000 acres last year. We've got, about 800 right now. That's down. It's down significantly. I think you're going to see down in the parish. Tensas Parish has a history of being one of the higher cotton producing from an acreage standpoint in the state. It's going to be down. It's strictly financial. When, it was a real struggle when cotton was in the 70 cent range last year. It's been in the mid-50s for a while. We touched 60 cents, I think, a week ago. With the inputs that cotton require, it just doesn't make any sense. Not much does make any sense right now with the environment that we're in. A lot of people are struggling. We're all struggling to make ends meet. And but going into a crop that you know is going to be red from the get-go, it's tough. It's really tough. A friend of mine who's not a farmer, he's a dentist, and they were all shut down for Corona. Well, they asked how that's affecting us out here. Well, it's not. I mean, we don't have the option of coming out and doing this later. It all has to be done now. We cannot do nothing. We have to put one foot in front of the other. That's what we have the Farm Bill and the safety net programs for. That's what we're counting on. We need policy to protect farmers. That's kind of where we are right now. That's the environment we're in. We're trying to keep our head above water.
We'll have more from Hardwick Planting later on this year. One story Carl says he's excited to shoot is about the research the LSU Ag Center is doing on the farm with a project funded by the Patrick F. Taylor Foundation that puts LSU's best farm practices to use on a larger scale. We look forward to seeing that story soon. Mila and Andy Barhani own and operate Green Hand Nursery in Baton Rouge. They've been selling plants at the Red Stick Farmers Market since it opened in 1996. Twila's Jennifer Finley brings us this profile of what they do in their own words.
This is the area where we have the perennial plants. We have all kind of different varieties of vegetables and fruits. We have tomatoes, we have fig. This is Green Hand Nursery. We are located in Baton Rouge. We start selling at the farmers market in 1996, and that's our only outlet. We still love what we are doing. So many people have been coming and going, but we still enjoy doing that. I think the highlight of the week is going and talk to customers.
Tricolor pepper is doing great.
I'm originally from Central America, El Salvador. I have been living in Baton Rouge since 1984. Wow, 36 years.
Like they say, a kid born into a rich family, they can say, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. I was born with a shovel in my hand. I came in 1974 to study entomology and go back home and help my country. But unfortunately, my country, it became communist. And in 1976, President Carter gave us political asylum.
Right now is caladium season, so all the caladiums are getting ready. I think we are growing around 15 varieties of caladium this year, and so everything is getting ready. I'm a research associate for Southern University, and the research I do is in sustainable ag, so I think sometimes the two fields they go together or they blend on what I'm doing right here and what I'm doing at work.
This begonia, we put it about 3 weeks ago.
What we are trying to do, we sell the most everything when it's producing. If we sell the fruit, we wanted the customer to see what it's producing. And if we sell flowers, we sell them until they are flowering, so they know exactly what they are getting.
Just to show you, this is one of them. So it's going to grow, put wire, and then I'll hang it.
Something else probably I didn't mention, we propagate all our own plants. So if you see right there in the background, we have some hibiscus right there. Those are the parent plants, and we collect the seeds and we propagate them.
The female, you pollinate it. So I did like this, see? Because it's going down into the pollen, sometimes they miss the the stigma.
We really try to concentrate on plants for pollinators and for attracting bees. I think this is what the customer wants. Vitex right here, like right now they are flowering. We have gingers, we have several mints, catnip. And so we're trying to have a big variety. We don't grow a big volume, but we have a big diversity of plants.
This is a plant that my chemistry professor from LSU is blood lily. And he gave me one, and since then I have been multiplying it, and we sell a lot of these.
We do hand watering. I'm saying we. ANDAP is the one that does the watering, and so everything is done by hand.
And we dip them in here, and they take what they need.
So most people, when they go, they just come and take the hose and they just shower the plants, but what you are trying to do is water the soil, not the leaves. The plant absorbs the water through the roots. When March came and we went through all the crisis, our thought was we were going to be closing the nursery because we didn't know, what was going to happen. And it was a great surprise for us to know that everybody wants to buy plants. It seems like besides growing food, it's also good for being outdoors. And I think what it gives us hope is more people is doing some gardening and appreciating the outdoors and also growing your own food.
Here is like a jungle, like where I grew up, and that's why it's makes me new, young. This is the greenhouse. We do the cutting, the propagation in here. This is bitter leaf, and bitter leaf is very much medicinal, they say now, for cancer. And this is cranium. So I propagate from them and I sell. This is the crybaby. This is jasmine, related to coffee. The smell, the flower, almost about the same. This flower that you see is Mexican flame vine, and it's very good for butterflies. That one is the cigar plant, good for hummingbird.
I love it. I think, like I'm saying, this is the highlight of my day, even though I'm doing about the same thing at work. So it's like a 24/7 kind of job, but after all this year, I think we still like to do what we are doing.
We love what we do, but main important is keep us moving. If we wouldn't have this business, we would have been probably in the nursing home. That's the bottom part I can say.
You can find Mila, Andy, and their plants at the Red Stick Farmers Market Thursday mornings at Pennington and Saturday mornings at the Baton Rouge Downtown Market. Now, if you're in the market for herbs, vegetable plants, or pollinators, stop by and see them. They say that visiting with customers is the highlight of their week. Speaking of local products, fresh crawfish are still available across the state. While the last ponds are going over into rice fields, you can still find crawfish. In Lafayette, you can pick up live crawfish for $1.65 a pound at Fluke's Seafood Shack, and you can get them boiled for $3.50 a pound. DeBarge's Crawfish in Alexandria has them for $2.79 a pound live, and they're going for $4.49 a pound boiled. Finally, Ray's on the Avenue in New Orleans has crawfish for $1.75 a pound live and boiled for $2.75 a pound. As always, please call before going to buy. Many places are running out for the season, and wherever you get them, the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board reminds you to ask before you eat. You know, when it comes to crawfish, the industry may have grown, but how we get them has not changed a whole lot. In this Twila throwback, we go back to 1994 when Twila producer David Langley caught up with a crawfisherman on Bayou Pigeon to talk about the season and prices. While the numbers have changed, I think you'll find a lot of similarities to what we faced 26 years ago.
The weather was sunny and warm for early March. The water was calm, and you would think that the crawfish would be jumping out of Bayou Pigeon into the boats of waiting crawfishermen. But that's not the way it works. Danny Rhodes scratched and clawed his way through the flooded woodlands only to find one disappointing trap after another. He checked more than 200 traps that on a good day would have produced 30 to 40 sacks.
Today, I think we ran about 200, and we got 5 sacks out of them. Not the greatest day.
Many factors affect the activity of spillway crawfish. Just because the weather is perfect for being out boating through the South Louisiana waterways doesn't mean it will be a successful day crawfishing.
When the water's rising, they will slack off quite a bit. And for about the last month, the water's been rising. It's about 7 feet deep out here right now. The temperature has got a lot to do with it. Being in these water lilies, they bite better in the water lilies than they do when you get out of the water lilies. The temperature, the daytime temperature, and the amount of sunshine you get on the water will tend to warm it, so that affects it also.
Combine the finicky feeding habits of the crawfish with a market price that sometimes seems to fluctuate with no rhyme or reason, and some crawfishermen are beginning to wonder if it's worth their effort to run their traps.
I started fishing in December, and early into December they were 35 cents a pound while the crawfishermen were catching a lot. And as the demand increased, they went up to about 70 cents a pound. And it stayed that way through January. And the water started rising, they started slacking off, and I don't know why, but the prices dropped down now to 50 cents. And well, just like you saw this morning, some fishermen are quitting now. Because if you catch a pound at a trap, and all you're making is 50 cents a pound, and you throw in 30 cents a pound worth of bait, that means you're only making 20 cents on the trap. It's not really worth it to run them.
However, it's early in the season, and the warmer weather should help increase the catch. No one knows for sure what the 1994 crawfish supply or price will be like, but there are a couple of different schools of thought for those willing to make a prediction.
They got some older fishermen that's been around more than me, and they're saying it's not going to be that good of a year. They said the crawfish didn't have as many babies this year. So that would hopefully mean the price would be a lot better. Maybe we can make a little more money. I don't know if I'll go along with that. I think the crawfish may have had some babies, and if they bite pretty good, then we're going to see some low prices again.
Rhodes did say that so far the size and quality of this year's crawfish is better than last year. From Bayou Pigeon, I'm David Langley reporting.
Again, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Still to come on Twila, #StillFarming, a reminder that we're all in this together. But first, a hot time in the old woods, safely. Stay with us. Fire plays an important ecological role in managing forest land. However, it's often difficult to manage fire, especially in the dry summer heat. As Craig Gautreaux shows us, a burn certification course taught at the Louisiana Ecological Forestry Center in Sabine Parish is helping land managers better understand the science behind it.
For southern pine forests, fire is an instrument used to enhance them. It helps remove competition for essential nutrients and allow sunlight to penetrate, making fire an essential and useful tool.
Our southern pines, longleaf pine, southern shortleaf pine, loblolly, and slash pine, they really benefit from burns, from prescribed burns. And it's just something that they've grown up with together.
There is much more to a prescribed burn than just striking a match. Participants in the certification course learned about what conditions were favorable for burning and when prescribed burns should not be conducted.
Through education that goes along with the certification, then we can assure that people understand what are the conditions that will cause you to have problems and how to avoid those problems.
The people attending the certification represented a diverse group, which is typical for a prescribed burn class.
We've had a mix of people who are in professional land management. We've had state employees. We've had quite a few private landowners too.
One of the advantages of successfully completing the course is it provides some liability protection. The course also alerts the attendees of where to find useful resources.
The information we've gotten on the fire weather and how to go find the information from the National Weather Service has been a big help, because I did not know how to go look that up and get it, and that's going to be a big help.
Prescribed burns are typically performed on tracts of land every 3 to 5 years. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gotro reporting.
Here's the good news for hunters. Prescribed burns also benefit wildlife like deer and turkey because they love the fast-growing vegetation that pops up after a burn. Still to come on Twila, American farmers are, can you believe it, still farming? We have an uplifting Twila Boost coming up right after this. Stay with us. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact our country, America's farmers and ranchers are still farming, working diligently to continue feeding us today and tomorrow, and just like they do 365 days a year, 366 this year because it's a leap year. In this week's Twila Boost, we're bringing you a video from the American Farm Bureau Federation that illustrates how resiliency is part of farming and believing in tomorrow is core to the farmer's creed. We're all in this together.
We're still waking up every morning, and we're putting our boots on, and we're going to work, and we're farming. That's all we know how to do. So we're going to continue to do that.
We are going to continue to produce food enough for the entire country.
It's far from business as usual in cities and towns across America. Over the last few weeks, you may have seen some empty shelves at your local grocery store. But we want you to know that America's farmers and ranchers are still farming, working diligently in their fields, barns, and orchards to continue feeding America today and tomorrow, just like we do 365 days a year.
Farmers care. Otherwise, they wouldn't go into the season totally unknowing if there's going to be a 2021 season for them. I think they do that every year. I think that's the salt of the earth, good heart of people who grow food.
We're proud to serve the men and women who treat their work as a calling, not a job. Of course, farmers can't do it alone. To all the farm suppliers and grocery store clerks, thank you. We do not take you for granted. Resiliency is part of farming, and believing in tomorrow is core to a farmer's creed. We are all in this together.
Well, that does it for this edition of Twila. Our next show will be in 2 weeks, which is the 4th of July weekend, but it's an important show. This will be our show from the 98th annual meeting of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation, where for the first time since 1989, voters will elect a new president of the organization, all from a safe distance. Until then, you can watch all of our stories from a safe distance online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find all of these videos and more on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe there as well. For all of us here at Twila, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.